Hey everyone, welcome back to The Highlight. My name's Drew.
My name is Sean.
My name's AJ.
Today we'll be talking about how the NFL season is shaping up and some predictions for the upcoming season.
Thank you, listeners, for tuning in.
Game day is coming up, and if anyone needs a charcuterie board for their finger foods or maybe a table to gather around and watch the game, contact Silver Sky Woodworking. For more information, go to viridiannews.org.
And we're always looking for new sponsors, so let us know on viridiannews.org if you would like to be a part of our work and reach our audience with us. Thank you guys for tuning in, and let's get into it.
First question. What do you think of the game so far in the NFL?
I mean, some of them are just regular normal games, but some of them actually been pretty good. Like, the Falcons have played in back-to-back good games with the Eagles and the Chiefs, and we still got robbed last Sunday night. But I think there have been a couple good upsets, like the Vikings and the Texans, and there have been a couple blowouts, like the Saints and the Panthers. But so far, they've been pretty good. I mean, they're about as much as you can ask for.
So I think the games have been very exciting so far. I mean, some of the teams I thought that would do really bad did really good. Like the Giants came in and they're doing pretty good with the situation they have right now. Also the Patriots beating the Bengals in week 1. That was kind of insane, but the games have been pretty good so far.
Which game is your favorite so far into week 3?
My favorite game, I think it's probably the Eagles and the Falcons, because that was just a great game throughout the entire game, and then Kirk Cousins leading that game-winning drive. It was just great to see.
I actually agree with Drew. I mean, the win from the Falcons, no one thought the Falcons would win, but the Falcons just pulled through. They showed their strengths in Philly, and they pulled through in the last minute, so it was very good.
What about the worst game so far?
It's the Saints and the Panthers in week 1. I mean, they demolished them like 47-10 or something like that. And the Panthers make the Saints look amazing, and that could have been the downfall, like the start of the downfall for Bryce Young.
So the worst game for me, honestly, is the Browns versus the Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys were obviously going to win this, but Deshaun Watson just did so terrible in that game. I just feel so bad for Amari Cooper. Like, he has to deal with like such a terrible quarterback because cannot throw the ball whatsoever. I mean, I feel for him, and the Browns are not looking too hot this season.
Who has been the surprise team so far?
I mean, there are a couple surprise teams. You can't really narrow it down to one surprise team, but the Saints and Falcons surprised me a lot. But the surprise team, has to be the Vikings. I mean, they lost their starting quarterback that they just drafted with their first-round pick. They lost Jordan Addison. They lost a ton of pieces in the offseason. And they're 3-0, just dominating teams. I mean, they blew out the Texans, who could have made a Super Bowl run last year, and then they also beat the 49ers in week 2, two of the top 5 teams from the last NFL season.
I'm going to have to agree with Drew here. I mean, the Vikings have proved that they are definitely playoff bound. I mean, their defense is very, very solid. Their offense is pretty good. I mean, with Sam Darnold coming in, people did not think they were going to be so good. But Sam Darnold, he is looking very MVP worthy. Like, the offense and the defense are just working together to just dominate all the teams right now.
Who has disappointed the most?
I think it's probably the Ravens and the Texans. Both look really bad. I mean, the Ravens could be 0-3 right now if the Cowboys started off the game with at least a decent offense. And they lost to the Raiders, who just got blown out by the Panthers. And then, obviously, the Week 1 loss versus the Chiefs. But the Texans, yeah, they're 2-1, but they only won against the Colts and only won by 6 against the Bears. And they just got smacked by the Vikings. I mean, they haven't looked too hot so far. But I think they'll both heat up throughout the rest of the season.
I want to say the Ravens. I mean, last year they were very, very good. But this year, like, it's just... They went against the Chiefs. They lost by a crazy call, which it was a true call, but Isaiah Likely was out. And then they lost against the Raiders. Like, that is just hard to witness. The Panthers just beat the Raiders, so the Ravens losing to the Raiders is kind of upsetting. I'm not a Ravens fan, but I would just expect more from them this year.
Who do you think will win the Super Bowl?
I mean, it's pretty obvious after Sunday night's game that the Chiefs are going for a three-peat. It's not even, like, fans don't even have to question it anymore. There's a script going on in the NFL. Like, as long as the Chiefs can keep getting bailed out by the refs, I mean, it's really not any competition. Maybe the Ravens can look good in the playoffs, but it's pretty much the Chiefs as of right now. They want that three-peat.
This year, I mean, there's obviously a lot of injuries throughout every single year of football. But this year in specific, there are a lot of key players who are out on injury. So right now, I would say the Vikings. The Vikings are looking very, very good. They are definitely playoff bound in my mind, and I think the Vikings could definitely make it to the Super Bowl just from just like how they're doing so far. They could definitely make a run.
I agree with Drew with this one about the Chiefs winning Super Bowl because the refs are really mainly on their side than any other team. But speaking of Super Bowl, what would be the Super Bowl matchup?
In the NFC, it's really a toss-up because, like Sean said, there's so many injuries, and it looks like it's only happening to NFC teams. Like, Christian McCaffrey's going down, half the 49ers offense is down, the Rams just lost their 2 star receivers. But in the end, I think it'll be the Chiefs in the AFC and the Lions in the NFC.
I'll have to say the Vikings and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are obviously going to make it to the playoffs, like we all know that, and they're probably going to make it to the Super Bowl. But I'm hoping that we can shut down this three-peat, whatever's going on here, and just put the Chiefs to rest and not let them win another Super Bowl.
Ever again.
Yeah.
I hope the Falcons versus the Chiefs. I know it's not going to happen, but there's always hope. There's always hope.
There's always hope as an Atlanta fan.
What is your NFC playoff bracket?
I mean, a lot of toss-ups, but I go 1 Lions, 2 Rams, 3 Cowboys, 4 Falcons, 5 the Eagles, 6 the Vikings, and 7 the Saints.
I'll go 1 Vikings, 2 Saints, 3 Eagles, 4 Cowboys, 5 49ers, 6 Lions, and 7 Seahawks.
What about your AFC playoff bracket?
For the AFC, I think the Chiefs will be 1, Ravens 2, Texans 3, Bills 4. After last night's game, I don't know about the Bengals at 5, but I think probably like Steelers 5, Chargers 6, and then really toss up between Bengals, Jets, and Raiders at 7.
I'll just say number 1 Chiefs, number 2 Bills, number 3 Ravens, number 4 Jets, number 5 Texans, number 6 Raiders, and number 7 Steelers.
Who is your MVP so far?
So far, through a couple weeks, I think it's probably Josh Allen, but it's really a close race between Lamar, Saquon, Sam Darnold, maybe Baker Mayfield. But right now, with carrying the Bills' offense right now, it's him.
Right now, I think it might be Sam Darnold. He's just performed so well just from just having, like, not that much experience going in and starting as a quarterback. He's already thrown for over 600 yards in only 3 games, so if he just keeps up this pace, he could do very, very good and possibly get MVP.
Who's your offensive player of the year?
As of today, September 24th, it's probably Saquon Barkley because MVP is kind of like a QB award now, so the offensive player of the year goes to like skill players. But I really think it's Saquon just because he's pretty much carrying the entire Eagles offense right now, and he's pretty much the only reason they're even winning a game, but he's also the reason they lost a game too. So, I mean, right now Saquon.
Right now for me, I think it's Nico Collins. He already has the most receiving yards in the league so far, and if he keeps up his pace, like he could possibly get offensive player of the year and he'd get 1 trillion yards. So I mean, he's already looking pretty good, and he's doing very good for himself.
Who's your defensive player of the year?
This one's easy. It's T.J. Watt or Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson already almost has 7 sacks through 3 weeks, and he's looked unstoppable. I mean, you can always count in T.J. Watt because he's always he's such a threat on the field. He doesn't have to get big stats to be such an impact player. Kind of like how Jordan Davis was in 2021 with Georgia. This is how Aiden Watt is with the Steelers.
I think T.J. Watt, just because of he can just lead the defense on his back. Whenever you see T.J. Watt in the field, you already know the Steelers are about to have a play party with everyone on the freaking offense. I mean, T.J. Watt, just because of how he just shut down the plays in a matter of seconds. I hate to say it, but against the Falcons, he was just carrying the defense on his back. He's a very good player, and I think he can definitely get Defensive Player of the Year.
Who's your Rookie of the Year?
Jaden Daniels. It's a clear fire, easy shot pick. There's really no other competition. He's carrying the Commanders right now. And if he keeps playing like he is, he can have a C.J. Stroud type case where number 2 plays better than number 1, and they lead them to the playoffs in an unpredictable situation.
So for me, I think Malik Neighbors is the rookie of the year. He's carrying himself on the Giants. Like the Giants, they are pretty bad. But
it's like a curse.
Yeah, it's a curse. But he already has 200 yards, and he is looking very promising in this year. I mean, he has Daniel Jones throwing the ball, so if he can actually catch with Daniel Jones, I think he has a very good career in the future.
Who would disappoint this year?
I know it's a long shot, and they were in preseason polls. They were kind of expected to be around 500, maybe competing in the playoffs. But I think the Bears will be very mediocre this year. I mean, for me, I think the Bears will really underperform after all their preseason expectations. Like Caleb Williams was supposed to come in, be a superstar right off the bat, and just save the Bears franchise, especially with all the talent. I mean, they got Kane and Allen in the free agency. They got Roe Dunsey in the draft. I mean, they really should be doing better right now. But I think they'll go 6-11, 7-10.
As of right now, I think the Cowboys are going to disappoint. Like CeeDee Lamb, he didn't look so hot in week 3. He didn't even catch that much balls. Dak Prescott. The defense for the Cowboys also isn't looking so hot. I mean, Dak Prescott, he's pretty midden in himself. So, like the Cowboys, I just think they will disappoint this year, even though everyone kind of hates him. They will definitely not do so good this year.
Do you think the MVP award is more in favor of QBs than any other position?
Oh, absolutely. Ever since Tom Brady started doing good in 2007-ish, I think it's been leaning more towards the quarterback, especially the last couple of years. Like in 2021, Cooper Kupp should have 100% won it. I mean, he triple crowned the wide receiver award and almost broke the single season yards record. And Chris McCaffrey should have won it last year, but it's definitely transitioned to college football over the last 20 years, especially with like guys like Tim Tebow, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson. There have just been a couple questionable calls for MVP.
Yeah, I think the MVP award is definitely QB favored. I mean, I'm hoping things will just change in the next few years and just like make it so that any position who is doing very, very good can get the MVP award, such as like Drew said, Cooper Kupp and CMC last year. But as of right now, I think quarterbacks are definitely favored to get this award.
I agree with Sean and Drew, but also the QB award is getting more looked at because of Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes' glaze is out of this world. He's good, but he's not that good to be overhyped. Who is the most NFL-ready prospect in college right now?
Me personally, no Georgia bias or anything. I think it's Carson Beck or Cam Ward. Don't even bro me, bro. Carson Beck makes throws that no other college quarterback can. Maybe one college quarterback who makes throws Beck makes, and don't you dare say Shadur Sanders.
Jalen Milroe?
The running back?
No.
Okay. Yeah, okay. We'll see this Saturday. But I see a lot of Jaden Daniels and Cam Ward, so that could really work in his favor, especially if Miami wins the ACC this year and makes playoff for the first time in I don't even know how long. But right now, it's Beck and Cam Ward.
I think it is Jalen Milroe. He is definitely the most NFL ready. I am a Georgia fan, but Alabama, man, he is carrying the offense. Like, he is such a good quarterback. I think he'll, like, as soon as he gets into the NFL, he's going to perform very, very well. It doesn't matter what team he gets on. He's going to be the C.J. Stroud of the NFL. He's going to get on the worst team possible. He's going to go insane. So, Jalen Milroe will be the most NFL-ready quarterback going into the NFL.
What do you think of the Chiefs versus the Falcons? Missed pass interference call that lost the Falcons the game on that Sunday night.
I was so upset. You don't even have to finish that sentence. I'm just so ready to talk about it that I don't even want to talk too much about it. Oh my gosh, they're so... I hate the Chiefs with a burning passion. Like, they were okay after they won their first Super Bowl, but they just make my blood boil every time I see them on ESPN.
I was very, very mad watching that game. The Chiefs should be 0-3 right now, just because of these stupid calls that they're getting that cost the other team the game and let the Chiefs win. That Falcons play, the missed call, pass interference, that cost them the game. If they would have had that play again, the Falcons could have scored, and that could have been a game-ending drive. But no, they just have to not call it, not see anything because the refs are just blind because they just love Patrick Mahomes so much. Like, I just think it's just unacceptable.
If we can insert a clip right here, you will see the ref steering directly at Kyle Pitts, getting pass interference called on him. But no, just no.
Was giving Kirk Cousins a 9-figure deal worth it?
I mean, 9 figures is a lot of money. He's guaranteed $100 million, but I really don't think it was worth it in the long run. For the first couple of years, for like first 2 years, I think it'll be pretty good. I think it'll lead us to the playoffs back to back. But I think he'll start to decline the last 2 years, hanging into his contract, maybe retire. I mean, he's going to be 39 by the time his contract ends up. So I think Penix will get to shine in his final year with Atlanta.
So I think the amount of money is a little bit absurd, but I kind of understand why they're doing this. So they're getting Kirk Cousins, and they're paying him a lot to come here, but they're also teaching Michael Penix how to be a very, very good quarterback. Like, he is learning from Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, the person who led the Vikings to the playoffs many, many years. You know, Kirk Cousins is a very good quarterback, and I think Michael Penix, whenever he gets a start, he can actually do very good for the Falcons, and I think it was a very good decision to sign him, but maybe not for that amount of money.
Can we get a record prediction for the Falcons rest of the season?
Me and Sean did an article on this a couple weeks ago. Go check that out, vertinews.org. Preseason, I said 10-7, but right now I'm looking at 11-6 and 12-5. I definitely underestimated this team. You know, it's just been a rough couple of years for us Falcons fans. But if this team gets hot, I can promise you nobody wants to play this team. So 12-5 or 11-6.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Drew. I mean, I set my expectations a little bit low, just because of like how our team has been for the past 2 years. But I think 11-6 is a very strong prediction. We really almost beat the Chiefs. We beat the Eagles in Philly. Like, that is just crazy by itself. So I think as the season goes on, I think the Falcons could definitely make a playoff run. Who knows how far they could get.
After the Sunday's game versus the Raiders, is the problem Bryce Young or is the problem the Panthers?
I mean, Bryce Young looked so good in college, and then none of that transitioned to the NFL. So you have to wonder, is it the Panthers or is it Bryce Young? And I really think it's a 50-50 because Bryce Young was just thrown out there, no mentor, no nothing. It was kind of like I don't remember what quarterback it was, but he was just thrown out to the dogs a couple years ago, and he turned out to be a bust, and everyone was clowning him for it. But, I mean, the Panthers have been a mediocre organization since Cam Newton left. I mean, there's nothing really you can do about it. They're just bad.
But is it all Bryce Young's fault? Because you have C.J. Stroud going to the Texans, and he's actually doing pretty good. Like, right now, like they made it to the playoffs last year, and I mean,
yes, it's Bryce Young's fault because obviously C.J. Stroud turned nothing into superstar weapons, and he turned Tank Dell, like a 3rd or 4th round pick, into a elite trade piece if they wanted to trade him. But Bryce Young, he can't do that. He has 30-something-year-old Adam Thielen and a mediocre, washed-up Deontay Johnson. I mean, what do you expect from the guy?
that's true.
But Andy Dalton just came out, lit up the Raiders, threw him for almost 300 yards, if not 300 yards. So I don't even know at this point.
Yeah, at this point, like, the O-line is obviously horrendous, but Bryce Young, I think he's just losing his confidence. I mean, he's just losing his confidence in his team and himself at the same time. With putting Andy Dalton in, I think that might give the Panthers like a few more wins, but I think that's it. Like, I think maybe a couple more wins this season, and the rest of they'll just be losses just because the Panthers are just so terrible.
I 100% agree.
Who's the next player who needs a big contract extension?
The next player? I really don't know. Excluding C.J. Stroud because he's still on his rookie deal, the only other guy that I can think of is probably, it's been happening all season, all off season, all the controversy, is Jamar Chase. I mean, he held out in mini camp or practice, spring training, whatever it's called, and he's starting to play good. He's starting to get back to his 2021 form when he popped off for Rookie of the Year, and I think he's really next up. I mean, he's coming off a rookie deal, so we'll see what happens.
I definitely think it is Alvin Kamara. I mean, he definitely needs a big contract extension just because of like what he's already done for the Saints this year. Last year he was injured for up until like week 15 or something, but then he came back and he actually did really decent. So just like signing Kamara back to the Saints is just like a huge offensive piece for the Saints, and I think they need to just act fast on this because Kamara, he could be gone like by the end of the year.
I get what you're saying, but he's so inconsistent throughout every single year.
But is he though?
Kinda, yeah. He's not really a running back. He's a tailback.
Okay, but how's he doing this year exactly?
Okay, come back to me like week 10. We'll see.
He's gonna be
Come back to me when the
insane.
Saints fall.
They're not gonna fall.
Yes, they are, bro. They're so mid. They just lost to the Eagles. We beat the Eagles. We're better. Thank you guys for tuning in for this month's podcast.
Tune in next time for the MLB playoffs.
Have a great day, and always remember,
Stay classy, Walnut Grove.